Welcome everybody. This video will be about how to edit your Levitation photos. So in class we will discuss how to take the Levitation photos, and then you need to create a new folder within your Photoshop folder called the current date and Levitation. And when we open that up, you should have at least 2 photos. So you'll need a pair of photos for each Levitation example. A student helped me create this one, so you can see that I have a picture of the student laying on a chair as if he's floating to the vending machine, and then the exact same picture with the same setup and exposure, except the student is missing. With this photo, you need to use a tripod to make sure that the two are exactly the same, or you'll run into issues with editing. So hopefully we got everything perfect. Now we need to open both of these photos in Photoshop. So if you have right click on your mouse, you can right click on the photo, or you can do control click if you don't have that. Choose open with Adobe Photoshop. Now this pulls up Camera Raw. This is basically an extension of Photoshop where it lets you make some minor edits before you bring it into the full Photoshop window. You also could edit this in Lightroom before you bring it into Photoshop and do it the way that we have previously. If you'd like to make any changes or adjustments here, you can, like to brighten it up, but you need to do the exact same adjustments to your other photo. So just keep track of any changes that you make here and apply those exact same things to the other photo. Then when you're ready, you can click open. If you accidentally opened the wrong file, click cancel. There is no red X in the top corner, so you would need to use cancel. All right, so I'm going to click open. That opens this photo in my full Photoshop window. I'm going to go back to my Finder and also open this one. All right, now you can see that I have 2 tabs up at the top. So this tab is the background photo, and this tab is the picture with our subject. I'm going to start on this photo. Over here on your toolbar, you want to choose the top tool, which is called the Move tool if you hover over it. And we are going to move this photo and drop it on top of this one to create a new layer. So what I'm going to do is, using the Move tool, I'm going to click on this photo and hold. So I'm clicking and holding on my mouse right now. I'm going to drag it all the way up to this tab, but don't let go when you get to the tab. Make sure that you move your mouse to the photo, the background photo, and then drop the subject photo directly on top of it. Then you can see that they don't line up perfectly at the bottom, so I am going to use that Move tool to try to center it perfectly. And over here in my layers, I now have 2 layers. If you want to rename them as, so we can get it to rename. I don't know why it's not letting me. There it is. If you want to rename it as subject and background, just so that you can keep them straight, feel free to do that. And if you use the little eyeball to hide the subject, you shouldn't see a significant change in the background. It looks like the lighting changed a little bit in my photo, but that should be pretty easily fixed. So everything should line up if you hide the subject and bring it back. Okay, now that we have these 2 photos saved as layers on the same project, we want to save this project. So I can go ahead and close out of the tab that we're no longer using. I'm not going to save that one, but I do want to save the one with both layers. So go up to the top of your screen to File, Save As. Let it load for a second. And in your Photoshop folder, you want to find the Levitation subfolder. You can give it a name if you want, doesn't matter too much. And the format either needs to be TIFF or Photoshop. Either of those will work, but it has to be TIFF or Photoshop. Whatever your computer automatically does is fine. Then click Save. And if it's a TIFF, it will ask you this question, so you can just click OK. Whenever I get a question that has a don't show again box below it, I always check that and then click OK so that I don't have to see it the next time. That shows me right here and down here at the bottom, this blue bar, that it's saving. When it's done saving, then we can keep on working. So that is now saved. Alright, so the next thing that we need to do is create a mask. We are not necessarily creating a selection before we make the mask this time like we did last time. So if you remember from the last project, the mask button is this white rectangle with the dark circle inside. Go ahead and click on that, and that just creates a blank mask. Then to edit this mask, I'm going to double click. If that doesn't work, there should be a button over here that says Select and Mask, or one up at the top that says Select and Mask. So use those if double clicking doesn't work. Make sure that your view is on layers, that way you can actually see what it's going to look like. And I like to start with the quick selection tool, this first brush over on the left side. With the quick selection tool chosen, you have your option between the plus and minus up here. The plus will add to your selection and the minus will take it away. So I want to be on the minus brush, and I'm going to change the size of my brush so that it's more proportionate with what I'm painting. You can hover over your photo to see the size of your brush. So I think that looks pretty good. And basically what I want to do is paint out the chair. So as I paint, it kind of just selects the general area. And basically it's erasing the first layer and showing through to the background. So it should take it away pretty easily. If you need to, you can zoom in to try to touch up the details. And you can even move to this third brush over here, the regular brush tool, just to clean it up so that it doesn't look like you removed a chair there. Now here, you shouldn't see any weird marks from the chair. So if you laid correctly with your body hanging off the edge of the chair, you shouldn't see any weird marks. All right, now I'm going to remove the top of the chair. All right, now up here you can see the difference in the color of my background because my background photo was a little bit darker, less exposed than the subject photo. So to fix that, I am going to remove this entire area so that it looks even. So instead of just removing the chair, I'm going to erase this whole area so we see through to the background. And that's actually a better exposure anyway, so that works well. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. I don't see any of the chair left, so I'm going to click OK at the bottom here to go back to my regular photo. And that looks pretty good. It looks like he's levitating. If you notice any imperfections, then you can go back into the mask and fix those. If there are imperfections that cannot be fixed in Photoshop, then you can just go out and shoot a new photo. Now that I'm done editing, I want to press Command Save to update the changes to my photo, so you can see that it's saving here. And that just updates any changes I've made to the original project file. And I need to wait until that's done saving before I can do anything else. So when you click on File, this Save option here, the regular save, tells you that Command S will also work. So you could also do File Save. We need to save a copy so that I have a JPEG to turn in. So now that I'm done updating the Photoshop file, I'm going to do File, Save a Copy. Make sure that it's in the correct folder, which it is, and the only thing we need to change here is the format. So go ahead and change your format to just a regular JPEG, not 2000 or anything like that. And then click Save and OK. And that saved it as a JPEG. So now if I look in my Finder, I should see my Photoshop file. So up here, let me go ahead and clean up this folder a bit. So if you click on this button and then clean up by name, it will organize everything. So here I have my or maybe I'll clean it up by kind so that it sorts by file type. So I have my original photos. They end in NEF, which is Nikon's RAW format. Then I have my Photoshop file, which is the TIFF, and my JPEG file, which is the final one that you would be able to turn in. So that is my final copy. Okay, I think that about covers it. If you run into issues while you're editing your photo, please call me over, come talk to me. I will hopefully be able to help you. And if the photo just isn't working, please go reshoot. Don't try to force it to work. Okay, that's it for today.